is the Gauntlet Hangouts, and this in particular is Epyllion, which is a dragon epic. Okay, this is one of Magpie's games. It's a PBTA game. It is a game about dragons, and it can be multiple ages of dragons. We're starting out at the smallest, the baby dragon level of dragons. So this is a game that is a little more storytellers than even some of the other PBTA games, but we'll come back to what that means. In any case, this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. This is an online gaming community. We've got a lot of games on the calendar for June. And if you're curious about that, curious about what we do here, you can check us out at gauntlet-rpg.com. You can see what's going on with that. So basically, Epyllion, the concept is that you are playing young drakes in a world where age matters. The world of Dragonia has just dragons as the only intelligent species, and these are dragons without a male-female gender. That's one of the things that the book stresses, is they, them, but they've also got, instead of he, she, they've got Dree and Driss. I'm going to try and stay with that. I'll probably try to go to they, them. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to fail at that. And so tell me if I make mistakes with it. So just to give you a heads up. So this is a game about, at least this early level, about forming the bonds of the group. That's what we're about, forming those bonds. And the group is called a clutch. Essentially, that has formed together a group of dragons and have been joined out of friendship or for other reasons, that usually carry out missions or do things for some of the older dragons, and the huge dragons, the giant dragons, of the many ages of them. This is a game that has a gentle tone to it. When things go wrong, your characters get angry with one another. Damage is about damage to your psyche and about damage to your relationships with one another. In this world, there are dragons who have given themselves over to the shadow. There was a war against the shadow, a force of darkness. They still are out there. The shadow is essentially the dark side that lurks in the dragons when they give into their passions and temptations. So generally, to tell you about the tone, this is light. This is cartoony, though the issues may get heavy. We are very much, friendship is magic, adventure time, that kind of level of consideration of what's going to happen. So that's the basic spiel on this. Let me talk a little bit for our players about mechanics, particularly in your character sheets. You guys have all seen the playbooks. You can figure that out. At the start, we will do those relationship questions where you give friendship gems to other people. You'll record those friendship gems on the page there with the friendship, and you'll put the person's name in there. So you'll keep track of whose gems that you have, because that's important for when you take certain moves. If you want to help people, you spend their gems to assist them that you have. And we'll get all that set. That's really the basics. Now, John, you've played PBTA before, right? Okay, so you're familiar with the basic system. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the character creation process, which is pretty light in these playbooks. And we're going to have people introduce their characters here. So in order to kind of get a sense of that, I want to start with Maria.
So sorry, I was typing my rules correction. Sorry. Sure. It was basically you don't spend points to help. Apparently, you only spend for moon magic, but you do count the ones you have to help. I just read the book. Well, no, I didn't read the book, but I read over some parts to clarify some things just today. So because this is also my first time playing this
Oh,
game.
absolutely, absolutely. So, why don't you tell us about your character?
Sorry about that. Ren is a seer because I decided upon that recently. His virtue, or sorry, Driss virtue is creativity. Dreer house is, or Driss house is Kebros, House of Ruby, which apparently fell to the shadow mostly, but then it came back. Uh, and Driss move is, or Dre has hunting visions, but Driss move is one of them, apart from hunting visions.
So, tell me what Ren looks like. What do you imagine? Give me a kind of description. I know you've got a
Oh, okay.
picture there, but tell me how you're imagining. I mean, you guys are small
Um,
dragons.
well, small dragons, but the picture I have is when Dre grows up. So, Dre is a trickster type mostly. So Dre has I put curling horns, scaled, pointy snout, whip tail, talons, thin body for description. But Dre Dre's personality is more important than Dre's appearance.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. What do you mean by the trickster that you described there?
So, like I said, sorry, I am not. I'm getting tripped up by pronouns, but Driss virtue being creativity and given Driss move choices, Dre is a Ren is a likes to trick people, specifically servants of the shadow. So get get what's coming to the give the, what's coming to them, getting ahead of them with panache because he's sorry, Driss highest stat is charm. He's Dre is not very cunning because Dre is young, but uh apart from that, that's Ren.
And that creativity virtue is important. That's when another player exemplifies the virtue that you like, that's when you can give them those friendship gems to show that you have built up that connection and that power there. And so, with the visions that you have, the haunting visions that your character has as a seer, um, do you imagine that a lot of people in House Ruby have that? Are you rare? What do you imagine those are like?
I don't think that's particularly rare in House Kebros because most of them fell to the shadow at one point. So it's kind of like they mostly. I get the vibe that they most of them fell, but some of them came back,
Okay.
and it's been rebuilt since then. And that the War of Shadow happened a long time ago, so it's been replaced mostly by raw drakes and other new dragons. So it's mostly been forgotten, kind of, not really.
And so, when dragons fall to shadow, they're kind of dangerous to be around. They give into their raw temperaments and so on. How have you tricked those dragons? Give me an example of one thing that you've done.
Um, I think Ren has um at one point, while pampering up to a dragon that was falling to shadow, Dre stole something from that dragon.
Okay. Does Ren still have it?
I have no idea.
No, tell me. Does or did Ren give it back, or
I
do they
don't think
still
Ren
have it?
gave it back if it's still with the shadow. So
Okay. Then what is it that Ren has that is a marker of that trick that Ren pulled?
I think Ren has it's some sort of gem.
Okay.
Ren is not sure what kind of gem it is.
Ooh, so it's unusual enough that you can't just identify what it is.
Correct.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Thank you. I appreciate you going through that first, Maria. We'll come back to you when we go through those fellowship questions that we're going to go through in a minute. So let me look at the character keeper. And John, I'm going to come to you next to have you tell us about your character.
Okay, so my guy is Tavarin, and he's a nature adept, and he's very small, kind of slick-looking. Kind of looks like if you didn't look too closely, you'd almost think that maybe he was just like a regular lizard type thing. Except for the antlers and extra claws and things like that. He likes to hang out in nature and talk to animals because that's his special thing. And he even talks to the spirits of the forest. And his virtue is independence, and his house is Mindoth, the House of Oak. And his obligation is to avoid detection or infiltrate a location.
Ooh, interesting. So he values, Tavarin values independence in the companions. What kinds of things do you think that Dre likes to see from companions that would represent independence?
He's Dree is looking for big spirits, so he likes Dree likes dragons that stand out. So Dree, anything that can be like a spectacle.
Oh, okay. Do you imagine that that's a challenge in the House of Oak? That sounds like kind of solid and secrets and traditions there. Do you imagine that that's a problem, or is there a streak of sort of the freedom lovers within that house?
Initially, I was thinking that they would be kind of all about it, but yeah, with the name House of Oak, yeah, I'm going to say that they are more about keeping the status quo and kind of being more of a solid group, and kind of collectors of information, and he kind of stands out from that.
Okay. So now, out in the wilderness, there are the beasts and things that you can go out there and speak with, but then there are things that are out there when we get into the wilderness that are more dangerous. Do you imagine that Tavarin has spent a lot of time out in the wilderness in the young years, or is going out into the deep woods going to be more of a challenge, more of a novel experience?
I would say Dree probably spent most of the time in the wilderness, but still pretty close to home because Dree is still a raw-scaled dragon. So going into the deep woods will definitely be an issue for Drem. Okay. Sorry if I'm stumbling on the.
No, but you're going to see me stumble repeatedly throughout this, and go back to proper names as my default. Okay, awesome. That tells me quite a bit about Tavarin. And so with that, in mind, let's go to the third piece of the puzzle here. Stephen, can you tell us about your dragon?
Yes, my dragon's name is Vox, and is smallish in nature, is iridescent blue-green. And the playbook that I chose is the Daredevil. The full name is Nicholas Vox. Vox, Vox's virtue is cooperation, and the house is Rothscar, the House of Gold. And the moves, I have a Beast Companion, which I'm still working on the name for.
Okay.
And the Beast Companion is a rat, bat, squid. What this actually looks like is it looks like a rat with wings that kind of fold down next to the body. And when scared, it emits this puff of powder that's like smoke to hide and be able to scuttle away.
Okay.
The other move that I have is Share the Load. Whenever a fellow dragon is about to mark Shadow, I can mark off Shadow on my track instead. I don't have to act on it, but it stays marked until I clear my Shadow track.
Okay. So where did you get this companion?
So I was flying on the outskirts, pretending to patrol, play acting patrol around the place where we live. And it was being hunted by some sparrowhawks, and I didn't think that was very fair, so I took after them, chased them off, and it's followed me ever since.
How smart is it?
It's pretty smart. It can actually carry messages far and wide, so it can talk and understand. Now, whether or not it does what I tell it is a completely different story, but yes.
Okay. And you said your second move that you're taking is the Share the Load move?
That's right.
What do you mention that's like? How is Vox a companion, a counselor like that?
I picture this more as Vox is a troublemaker that takes the blame more often. So, for example, Vox probably heads out is the first one out the door, is the first one to investigate something. But whenever something bad happens to one of the other clutch mates, Vox is going to take that upon themselves, whatever that pronoun is. They selves?
Dritself.
Dritself. There we go.
Dritselves. Yeah.
It's actually it's Dremself or her himself.
It's
but you can
Dremself.
also say themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's fine to use a third person plural on that.
Then I'm going to use them all the time.
Yes.
I will. Yeah, I'm gonna try, but I think I'm gonna default to they them.
We're gonna see how it works. So the virtue cooperation seems pretty self-explanatory. But you're kind of a little bit wild and out on your own. So what kind of cooperation do you imagine that Vox likes to see?
Vox comes from a family line of dragons that are very tight. So up until I grew up a little bit and kind of went out on my own, I assume that we're out on our own, correct?
You are together in a clutch,
right?
Joined together, but that's sort of on your own, yeah.
Yeah. We're sort of roommates that have grown up to a certain extent, but so I think Vox's family was very tight, so they were very close to each other. So Vox naturally assumes that the family or the clutch mates are going to be there for him, and Zay will be there for all of the clutch mates.
So you had a strong sense of the clutch that you were born to, had some experience before you were moved on to a house, and then you had mentors that were strongly tied together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let me then have each of you, we're going to go through those fellowship questions. Each of you has 3 fellowship questions on your playbook. We're going to answer those. We're going to leave one blank for when we get Agatha in session 2. So we're gonna pick 2, and you can put them out on an offer, or you can say, well, it sounds like this would be the perfect one for this particular person, this particular character. So Maria, I'm going to swing back around to you and take a look at those fellowship questions that you have. Any of those strike your fancy?
So knowledge, okay. So is Vox learned? Like, do Dre know a lot? The Dread.
If you ask Vox how much they know, of course he knows everything that they need to. In reality, probably not much above the rest of the crowd. Yeah.
Okay. So I think Vox's knowledge is unparalleled within the clutch, but they do not see the danger ahead. Oh, they don't use Dre here. Okay, take a gem from them.
Okay. So essentially, you'll mark that you have a friendship gem with Vox for that one. You mark that on your sheet, Maria.
Yep. And I will add Vox to my thing of fellowship. All right.
And then what's the other one?
Let me format this real quick, and then I'll.
Oh, sure.
And I'll see. I think. Let me look at the name. Tavern helped save me from the darkness. Explain how they exemplify your virtue. Give them a gem.
Okay. So how did Tavern help save you from the darkness with the power of creativity?
So Driss deal is that Dre can speak to animals, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I was nodding.
So I think this monster was so I'm not entirely sure how monsters work in Dragonia as a player, but I think Ray was able to talk to them. Like Tavern was able to talk to the monster somehow, and that impressed me. I didn't
Nice.
think you could talk to dragons, or not dragons. Sorry, monsters.
Okay. So in that case, then Tavern will mark 1 gem with you.
Yeah.
And we'll save that last one for when Agatha returns.
So was that giving me a gem or taking a gem?
So you'll write down Friendship Wren and put a 1 by it.
And the last one is I dreamed of blank long before you two met, so convenient things.
And then let's see here. This is the So our nature adept Tavarin, take a look at your fellowship questions, and any of those speaking to you?
The one that kind of jumped out at me was you have taught Vox to listen to an animal of the wilds, tell them which wild creature, and take a gem from them. So I'm going to say I've helped him be more friendly to his rat bat squid.
And Thistle is the name now? Stephen? Okay. All right. That makes sense. So yeah, you will write down Vox and put a 1 by Vox.
And I was thinking that maybe Ren was a voice of reason in the clutch when dealing with older dragons. Explain how they exemplified your virtue and give them a gem. Does that sound like Ren or no?
That works.
And how did Ren exemplify independence?
Explain. Okay. So how did Ren exemplify independence? How did Rem exemplify independence? She exemplifies independence because, or Dree, they, because of Dree's visions, Dree always kind of stands off to the side, isn't as close to everybody else.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, and they that led them to speak up to one of the older dragons in a way that you kind of couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, and then you're going to save that last one for when we bring Agatha into the clutch. Vox.
Yes.
Daredevil. Tell me about those fellowship questions. Which ones appeal to you?
So, I believe that Tavarin made me feel welcome in the clutch whenever my beast companion fell ill. They exemplified cooperation by offering out of the blue to help me whenever Thistle got sick and going out and collecting some medicine from the woods to help Thistle get better. And that means that Tavarin gets a friendship gem from me.
Okay. That sounds good. You good with that, Tavarin?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. And
what's the other one?
The other one is Rin taught me not to underestimate the darkness. They exemplified cooperation by fending off the darkness whenever I had gotten too close to it, and bringing me back into the light.
Okay.
That means that Rin gets a friendship gem.
So, Tavarin, you're starting out with no friendship gems in your hands.
No. Vox is starting out with no friendship gems.
Yeah, sorry, Vox.
So what does that mean exactly?
So it means that in the case of the sort of support role, when you go to do that move to anybody, you're rolling with a +0.
Oh, okay.
There are some things that require you to spend gems, but that's essentially the measuring of that relationship there at the start.
Okay.
Okay. So your clutch Do you mention that that the clutch has been together a long time, a short time? What do you think there, Ren?
Short time because apparently we're not clutch birth clutch because Vox is from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And we're raw scale drakes, so it couldn't have been that long.
Okay, so a while, but not years of experience. So you have had time to do some interactions and gather together with one another. Tavern, did your clutch form out of opportunity, or is it like, is there a school, or what's the circumstances that has formed your clutch together?
What was the circumstances that formed us together?
Yeah, is this a formal thing, an informal thing? Did it happen because you guys went to a dragon school, or did it just that you had those connections with one another?
I would think that it's kind of like a tradition of all the young dragons that are around the same age are told to work together as a group, kind of like a what's it called, like a ritual for them to turn into full dragons or whatever.
Okay. Do you think that most dragons stick with the clutch that they're first assigned to, or not, or is it kind of the opposite?
They do initially, but as they get older, they go their separate ways.
And Vox, what is something that your group, your clutch has done? What's one task that you have fulfilled for an older dragon?
I think it goes back to Ren fighting off the darkness. There's an older dragon that might not have been able to fend off the darkness as well as expected, and asked our clutch to check it out. And of course, Vox went right off into whatever was going on and got in trouble, and Ren pulled us back and helped save us from the darkness.
I like that. And what's the name of that dragon?
Imperious. Onyx.
Imperious Onyx. And what is Imperious Onyx's status now? Is Imperious returned fully from the shadow, or given in, or what?
I think is returned from the shadow. Is an elder dragon, so it still seems a little borderline. Could become wrapped up in the shadow, but is respected as an elder.
Okay. So you three are in one of the settlements, and Dragonia is huge, with great wildernesses between. There are ways and means of travel, and you're in one of these stations, a settlement of dragons. And again, these places, these cities, are built for much bigger dragons than you. So all of the furniture is high. All of the doorways are tall. Everything is made for large dragons. You have to kind of hover up to get onto things, to be spotted, to have your voices heard, and you kind of have to stay out from underfoot as the bigger dragons move around. They are conscious that there are raw scales around, but life is generally for those who have matured here. And you are called in by Imperious Onyx, and they are black scaled, sort of mirrored reflective, like onyx, or obsidian, the sort of the glistening on their scales. They still bear some scars from battles, ones that have not quite healed. Even as their scales have molted and come back, those marks are still on them. And Imperius has been good to you, has been something of a friend, and has looked out for you. And Imperius will say, "Greetings, how are all of you today? Are you well, Ren? How fare you?" And I think we need to flash back to you rolling for your start a session move.
Yes, I need to roll that stuff. All right, red. 2 pips. That is plus charm. Yes, that's
Plus
a 12.
charm.
That's a 12. So
That is a 12.
I get a follow-up question
Okay.
to whatever you say.
So you have slept and had a dream, and you have heard buzzing in that dream, and you have seen bees and honeycombs, and that sort of vision of that particular detail has stuck with you. That's something that's important. And you may, pardon?
Where are they? Is my follow-up question. Where are
they seem to be hidden away in a concealed grove. You can see the kinds of trees that are around it, and you can see that it is definitely made to be kept out of sight. And Imperius says, "And how are you, Ren?"
Fine. I'm fine.
Good. And Tavern, how are you? How are the woods that you walk these days?
Very, very lovely as always.
Good. And Vox, how are you?
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for calling us, Onyx.
Yes. I have a task for you, something that must be done, and requires a journey on your part. Not a short journey, but a longer one, which will take you onto the road, and it is something that carries danger with it. But I trust that you can do this.
We're your clutch. We'll get right to it.
Well, you're not my clutch, but yes, you're going to travel overland and go to the seashore, to the ocean. I will tell you, I will describe, I will lay out the stars that you must follow on the path to get to this place. In a bay where you are going to be heading out, there is an island. There is a thing called the glimmer fruit, which grows there on this island. The island is called Scala. And on Scala is this glimmer fruit. It is a rare ingredient and is the thing I need most to prepare a fine birthday celebratory feast for some of my clutchmates. So I would ask you to travel there, find this glimmer fruit, and bring it back to me.
Okay. First of all, I am not like I'm a bit wary right now because he's sending us to to a perilous journey, to so to speak, to grab fruit.
All
We'll
right.
do it.
I want to study him.
Okay.
So that is plus charm, which is good for me. So reroll selected. That is an 11.
That's an 11. So you get to ask 2 questions.
What is your character hoarding?
Right now, Imperious Rex is hoarding essentially presents. They are gathering gifts to be given out to clutch mates, and that is what Imperious is hoarding. He's gathering all kinds of gifts together.
And who are you holding a grudge against?
Himself, or Dre himself. Imperious blames. They blame their own failings, that they weren't able to live up to the standards that they should have, and they're a little embarrassed that younglings like yourself were able to kind of help bring Imperious out of this when Imperious should have known better, should have been able to overcome that. And so that is the grudge that Imperious holds right now.
Okay, cool. All right, fine. We'll fetch food for you.
It is appreciated. I will lay out the path that you must take. It is several days' journey overland. So you must go to the provisioner, down to Ugris, and speak with Ugris. And Ugris, they will hopefully provide you with what you need. Ugris can be parsimonious with aid at times, so you will need to be persuasive.
So, Imperious Onyx, are you not coming with us? I think that it would be a great journey for all of us.
I would love to go, but the preparations and such that I must make here are important. It is a journey I would not trust to just anyone. And in fact, as I said, there are those who said I should not send you, that you are too raw scaled and unready for such a thing. But I believe in you.
We won't fail you.
Excellent. Good.
We will do our best.
Good. Your assurances mean much to me. So head out, speak with Ugris and whoever else you need to talk to before you head out into the journey. And I imagine that one of the things that Imperious does is Imperious will take a moment and will call on the power of the Liberty Moon, and will draw forth and sketch in the air for you the stars that you need to follow to find the path, the map, and the guidelines for that. Essentially, the stars in the sky are the way that you navigate through, and Imperious will lay that out for you so that you will know which way to go. And so, let me ask then. I'm going to get all my characters' names wrong. Tavarin, you're about to head out onto a journey, out into the wilds in a multi-day journey. What is one thing that you would want to do before you leave on something like this?
Before we leave on a multi-day journey, Tavarin would want to get a book about healing herbs and things like that.
Okay.
And just kind of like get one of the other dragons to like, can you please take care of my plants?
So I mentioned getting the dragons to care of the plants. That's easy enough to do. But then you go down to the library. I imagine again bookshelves that are not quite made for your height. You have to kind of roll the ladders along. Do you mention that dragons use scrolls, or do they use books, or something else?
I would let's say scrolls.
Okay. So you'll find a particular scroll, and you'll be able to pull it out, and there'll be that from the librarian dragon pushes back tiny little spectacles on its head, resting there, and it will go, raw scale, can I help you with something? And we'll kind of reach over and pull the scroll down fully. Do you wish to look at this?
Yes, I did. We are headed out on a very important mission for Imperius Onyx, and Dree wanted us to be aware of what we might encounter on our journey, so I thought this would be a good scroll.
Certainly, you may read it here.
I wouldn't possibly be able to take it with me, could I?
This is a librarian dragon. Their hoard is books and scrolls. It is always a struggle to get them to lend you anything. So, what's your argument? What are you trying to? How are you selling this beyond what you've already said?
As I said, Imperius Onyx has asked us to do this, and it would be very, very important and very, very impressive to him and the other elder dragons if you would allow us to do this. And also, you know me, I am here all the time, always finding out about new plants and herbs and things. I will absolutely take care of the scroll, no problem. You can be guaranteed it will be returned in the best condition possible.
Let's have you roll charm to convince a dragon.
Alrighty. Did the screen actually change or no? Okay, either I rolled 3 8s in a row or the screen's not changing for me on the roll for your party.
Did you do the green ones?
Yeah, okay, there it is.
You're fine. 11.
Yeah.
So there's much hemming and hawing and clearing of the throat from this librarian dragon, and great heaving sighs about how raw scales always get the edges torn, and they put their little paw prints on it, and they don't know how to properly take care of things, and you realize that this is the cost that you have to pay. This is what you have to do. You have to sit and listen and nod sagely as this librarian dragon goes on and on. But until they finally go, well, just this once, you may take this with you, but I expect it returned.
Of course.
Mint condition.
Even better if I can.
Yes. No, that does make the librarian dragon sit for a while and think about the conundrum, the paradox that you have put there. So you have a book. So you've got that as an interesting feature that you can call on later. What about Vox? What is Vox going to do?
After we leave, we kind of split up to go our different ways to gather some items before we go see the requisitioner, the person who will support us. Vox goes back to Imperius Onyx and, knocks on the door, enters.
Come in.
And says, I was curious. You mentioned that you were going to have a party. Is there any chance we could... I think we should be invited. I think that would be really good.
Well, it's not exactly a party for the smaller dragons. I mean, no offense, but it's really more of an older dragon's party.
Right, but eventually all younger dragons become older dragons, and it's not you don't have to get us anything. We're just happy to be in the area with all the other dragons of note.
I
promise we won't eat much. We'll be good.
Imperius listens to you. I think you're trying to convince him, right?
I think I'm trying to stand up to an older dragon.
Oh, you think that's that this is more that you're standing up for being a young dragon, and that the older dragons take advantage of you, kind of thing?
I think it's more along the lines of, I know that he is above my station, and I think that this is something. I'm not necessarily trying to convince him or wheedle my way into it. I'm trying to stand up to him and show him that we are worth our medal.
All right, let's have you roll courage.
Yes. That is a 7.
Okay, so you do get some acknowledgement, and they will say, all right, I'm certain that if you do this favor for me and you return, you can come and visit, but it may not be to your liking, so just be aware of that. But I will you and your clutch may come.
And Vox is so excited. Thank you.
And what do you think is the things there that of the 7 to 9 list? What do you want?
So I think that it would be they offer a favor or an accommodation. I think that's what this is the invite.
Okay, well that's what it can. But then you also have to pick a problem that you've caused.
Yeah, so I kind of like the idea of you overstep your social bounds, you incur an obligation. And I imagine that would be maybe we are waiters.
Exactly. Certainly. And you can see that Imperius Onyx is thinking on that, measuring you for the little outfit that you'll have to wear, mentally calculating that. And Imperius says, yes, you could be of some service at the party.
Fantastic. Good.
And then Ren, what does Ren do before the three of you gather back together to go and see this provisioner?
So I think Ren is up trouble.
Okay.
Because he's a troublemaker, or Gray's a troublemaker. So,
okay.
So I think Ren is gonna look for trouble, or
Okay.
try to see what's going on that needs taking care of.
So what kind of who needs a good trick played on them?
Some bullies maybe.
Okay. So you'll head down. You'll see some of the other raw scales, and they're always, even among the raw scales, a little bit of a pecking order. And there is a bigger raw scale, clearly going to soon move up the ranks, but it stayed around because they're maybe a little bit dim, kind of a bully. And this bully's name is Cassian. And Cassian is right now essentially the equivalent of stealing the lunch money from a couple of very, very raw scaled drakes. So what do you do?
I think. Let me think. I will. I think I'll glide up to them, and I'm like, and I look up to the. I look at Cassian or Cassius.
Cassian.
Cassian, and pretty much. Aren't you supposed to be older? Why are you taking money from these raw scale drakes? Aren't you supposed to be taking them from people your age?
So,
So
does this sound
basically,
okay?
a combination of like flattering insult. Like it's weird because it's like I'm basically goading him into trying to steal from what's the next step.
Okay, so you're kind of provoking and getting them to kind
Yeah.
of okay. So that sounds like you're trying to mislead or trick. Let's go ahead and have you roll.
Yay! I'm rolling with my shitty stats. And I rolled a 5.
You rolled a 5.
Yes.
So Cassian,
Unless this is corrupted by darkness, which I don't think so, but
I
whatever.
don't think so. No.
Okay.
So Cassian will look at you and will kind of push you back. Cassian is dumb enough that your kind of witty banter bounces off. And Cassian says, "Oh, yeah. Oh, you think you're something, don't you? Don't you there, then?"
That was a
Kebris.
compliment.
No, I know. I can hear it in your speech. Yeah. I know. Your family's all made of shadows, all skunking around on the edges of that. You're gonna get yours one day. Think you're all smart and high and mighty. Don't worry. I know that shadow's coming for you.
How do you
And-
know if you're not part of the shadow yourself? And I'm pretty much gonna like keep attempt to weasel myself out of this somehow.
Okay, so you kind of do you think that rather than him being a threat, that you're actually kind of pushing yourself over into shadow as the fail state from this?
Maybe.
Okay.
I think at this point I'm buying enough. I'm trying to buy time for the rusticals to get away.
Oh yeah,
As
I figure that
yeah.
they will get away there. What would you mark with your shadow track?
Let me see. Alright. And then when I mark that, I have to
do one of those things.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. I think either anger or shame. I'm not sure.
Okay. What do you feel like? What do you actually do?
Like it depends I can if I can uh if I can like if I can what's it called? One of the things from shame is mock or belittle someone vulnerable. I'm not sure if that can apply to Cashin.
No, it would be the raw scales, the
Okay,
ones
then
around that are vulnerable.
then I'll be angry.
Okay, and
Right.
what is it that you do to immediately?
All right. I think. I'll. I think I'll escalate.
Okay, so you are kind of getting the face and you are pushing this further kind of up the food chain, as it were.
Yeah.
As that's going on, and when you do that, as you are speaking with Cassian and kind of pushing it and being kind of obnoxious, there is that shadow that falls over the area you're in. I assume it's kind of an alley between some of these larger buildings you're passing through. And you will see this long-toothed dragon comes down and lands. And like Cassian, it has sort of the marks and regalia of Tessith of Diamond.
Oh, hey.
And it kind of lands and stares at you, kind of hovering over, and it will say, "What is your name?"
Ren.
Ren. Move along, Ren.
Just like House Desert. That was the house name, right?
That is the house name.
And yeah, if I remember correctly, Desert is the one with nomads because they basically got wiped out during the war.
Right. So you want to continue to escalate this?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you roll act despite danger?
That is courage, which is better than cunning. No,
Okay.
yes, better than cunning. That's that's the one. Okay. And that is a 7.
That is a 7. So you start to do that, and you realize that this is going to cause, severe problems unless you back down. That and especially saying that to him is going to probably cause Imperious Onyx great misfortune, given that he vouched for you and your companions and your clutch, and all it will take is this dragon to go back and speak with Imperious, and you three will not be leaving.
But fine. Just tell Cassian to not steal money. I say to the Drake. And then I move along.
Okay. All right. So he definitely marks you, and he's definitely going to speak badly of you to other dragons, especially since you wouldn't back off when you were told, and in fact continued to press the issue. So you can tell you have made your clutch an enemy.
All right, cool.
All right. I'm going to say let's take our 5-minute break here, and when we come back, we'll go to the provisioner, and we'll go and talk with Ugris.
So I was actually looking over my share the load move, and I don't think I could use it in the case that we just ran into, because it has to be whenever the dragon is about to mark a shadow. So I think I have to be present for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And we'll check in again after session 1 to see if people want to switch their moves around. With PBTA, I always do that check in because you never know exactly what's gonna come up.
And this is 3 sessions, or is it 4?
Yep, 3 sessions because next week is Origins.
Yay! That's right. Are you running High Plains Samurai?
No, I'm running a couple of things for Games on Demand.
Yeah, but what
Passion and Hearts of Olin.
Are you also going to Origins, Maria?
Nope.
Too far?
Well, it's more like I didn't plan for it. Also, I'm going to Gen Con.
Oh, you are still going? I was wondering about that with your move.
Yeah, my mom is going to be like immediately after, but my mom said like she would be here if she needed the move. If we need the move to be like during Gen Con, she'll be here helping move. So
Okay.
it's not an issue.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. All right. So you have done some things, and now you need to head to the Provisioner, Ogress. Tell me, Tavrin, what is the Provisioner's place like?
It's extremely large, like most places are around here, and it is just wall to wall different things that dragons need. Like there's, geez, I don't even know what a dragon is. There's one entire wall is just like dry goods. One is like camping gear and lights and things, and there's even some smaller things like no, you said there's no other sentient creatures than dragons, so
right. No, but I like that, like camping gear, straps of things, bags, of different sizes, all of those kinds of things used when you're outside in the wilderness. Okay, and food and things. And tell me, Maria, what color is Ugris? Blue. So a deep blue, or like a baby blue, or like an eggshell? What are you imagining?
Baby blue.
Okay, so Ugris is this baby blue dragon, and tell me something else about Ugris, Vox.
Ugris has many jewelry, a lot of jewelry, like earrings and necklaces, and they aren't gold and silver. They're more bangly with multicolored kinds of gems and stuff.
So I imagine then Ugris, that sort of vibrant baby blue dragon, with all of these jewelry and things and stuff. It goes on the frills and on the ears and so on, jangles when they walk, and kind of comes over to the desk because you've had to like ring the bell, and kind of leans over the desk to look down at the three of you, and is like, yes,
we need some help. Imperius Onyx is going to send us out on a long trip, and he said that you, the Provisioner, could help us.
Oh, did he now? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you need?
And I kind of look around at the other two. Probably food and stuff to travel with. What do we need?
Bags. Definitely bags to bring back the glimmer fruit.
Oh, glimmer fruit. Okay. Glimmer fruit's tasty.
Oh yeah, you've had it before?
No, just people told me it was tasty.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And Ugris goes, so how many days travel?
A lot.
Give me a number.
What was the number?
3 days there.
3.
So 6. 6.
6, yes.
You're young, you're fast. Surely we can cut a day off of that. I can give you like 5 days worth of food, right?
Well, if you give
We'll
us 7
starve.
days worth of food, we might see if we can bring back a spare glimmer fruit for you.
Claws thing. Okay. That I can do. Here's a bag. Here's 7 days worth of food.
I check. Is
Pushes
it
it
really 7 days?
Yeah, it's not the greatest 7 days worth of food.
Yeah.
But it is 7 days worth of food.
Okay, good.
That's it, right? That's all you needed? I can go now?
What are the lamps? Do you have a lamp? It's hard to read by moonlight.
Wait. I know you. You're one of those outdoorsy
Yes.
dragons.
Yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you can make a fire. No problem. Easy peasy. There you go.
Would it just be easier if you just gave us a lamp and then we wouldn't have to make the fire? Fires are very dangerous.
Would it be easier for me or for you? Because it'd
For
be easier for me
everybody.
not to give you a lamp.
But it's right there. Just
Do you want to try and convince him?
nah.
Okay. Yeah, he is notoriously cheap, and you can tell that he is not prepared to just hand off extra stuff if he knows that it is not a vital necessity.
Okay, I guess I can make fire then.
Good. Got to learn those skills early. Ren, Vox, are you good with that?
What do we need apart from bags and food?
Tell me. Is there anything else you need, or is that good basic necessities?
Blankets?
Tent. Do you have a tent?
A tent?
Yes.
It's a great outdoors. You guys should be getting out, enjoying yourselves, breathing in that
But
rich air.
we need tent in case we get attacked by monsters.
Well, I'm not giving you a tent to get just torn up by monsters.
Or we need something for shelter in case it rains or storms.
Yes.
You wouldn't want the glimmer fruit to get wet, would you?
See, you're working me over now. I can tell. I can smell that a mile off. Hold on. And Ugris will go, and essentially he brings you a treated sheet that is water repellent that you could conceivably attach to a tree to give yourself some covering or use as a blanket. There you go. I want that back.
Where are the poles to hang this up?
Yeah.
Where are they?
I know how to do that. You just put up.
Oh,
like
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you guys.
And we have a rope.
Dookie.
And we have a rope. Right? How the sheet's no good
You are
without a rope.
killing me.
The sheet's no good without a rope.
Who made you provisioner?
They all may be provisioner. You know why? Because I keep it within budget. Reluctantly, Ugris goes and gets you 20 feet worth of rope.
And we'll be sure to return all of this.
Yeah.
I think we
Okay.
got this. I think we're good.
Good.
Very good. Let's
No
go.
more. That's it. We're all done. Wait.
What?
One of you has to sign for it.
I'll sign for it.
Puts a little paper out for you and makes you put your little paw print there. Do you imagine that you have a signature? Is there do drakes have like something they sign with, like a name sign, or is it a mark or what?
So I think actually it's a paw print, and then around the edge of the paw print where the claws would normally be, you actually mark the letters for your name.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. You can see it's almost like a little passport book then of people that have signed out on things. And you can gather these goods together, and you've got the star map, and you can set out on the road on the journey. And tell me about the city as you leave. Is it like in trees, or is it, big stone buildings, or is it a mountain, or what is this? What is the settlement like, Tavern? When you leave this Dragonia city, what are you leaving?
It's kind of right up. It's like a valley set up against a mountain, so that there is almost like the equivalent of like the Adobe step houses.
Okay.
So, the mountain has been like cut into tiers with various places all along the side.
And what are the gates like, Maria? The sort of the pass out areas, the fences.
Sorry, what? Repeat that.
So what when you leave, do you pass through gates? What does that look like as you actually leave the city? What do the gates look like?
I think since it's a valley, there are none. It's just a rock formation.
Oh, okay. So they've kind of taken the natural rock formations, and that sort of forms the passageway out. And again, probably traveling through this, it's mostly drakes your age or older drakes that are transporting things, because you can't fly precisely. You can glide and jump and hop quite a bit, but actual flying is not what you can do as raw scales. Let me ask you, Vox, what is one spectacular piece of architecture that is here in the settlement that, as the camera pans down to you three leaving, what's one thing that the camera lingers on?
So I think there's actually a magical shield that protects this city from the elements and from beasts coming in. And as we pass through on the ground, it's sort of like a shimmering soap bubble that we pass through. But above us, the older drakes that are flying in and out pass through, and it kind of pops as they go past, and colors kind of shimmer across the edge as they go in and out.
Okay. Oh, I like that. And get the different colors. Do they all hit with the same color, or is there some different colors based on the kind of drake that it is?
I think it varies in color, but I've sat and watched it for hours on end, and I can't decide if it's related to their name or what color they are. I'm not sure.
Okay. That seems cool. So you four, got your bags, got your equipment kind of folded up. You head out onto the road to travel out and go out. This first part, of course, is a wilderness that Tavern quite well. But just a few hours out from that, you start to get into stranger areas, places you haven't been to. So, Maria, ask you this. On this first day of the journey, the three of you head out, go on to the road, traveling along. What is one obstacle or challenge or strange thing that you three face on this first day of your journey?
So the beehive isn't until later, right? Just making sure.
Yeah, you have a sense that that's probably at the end of your journey.
Okay. So obstacle. Trying to think.
Sure.
I think one of us lost track of the rope.
Okay.
So we had to find it.
Okay. So, Tavern, you are traveling along, and you realize that as you've gotten, towards the end of the day, and you're thinking about the tent and the rope, that the rope it has fallen away. How does Tavern solve that problem?
Tavern solves that problem by calling on I'm gonna use my wild speech and call on a bird to. Do you see a very large worm anywhere? It would be really helpful if you could find that for us.
All right, yeah, and you'll grab one of these birds, not as large as you, but these are pretty significant birds. They kind of listen to you talk. They're weirded out a bit that you can speak their language, and they will go and you hear the cries as it calls out to friends, and you get that kind of cry across, and they say, "Hey, big worm, big worm, big worm, big worm, big worm, big worm," and then you hear mine, 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 and then they all eventually settle, and a group of them will bring fly carry this rope back to you from where it was dropped, and they will return it to you.
Cool. And thank you so much.
The bird goes.
Oh, right.
That wasn't a worm.
No, it wasn't, but it looked like one, didn't it? It was amazing. I have some seeds. Would you like some seeds?
Yes.
Okay, seeds.
That seems to make up. It's a bird, so the things go out of its head very quickly. So once it sees the seeds, it forgets that it was fooled by this horrible, bad tasting worm, and it will head out. And now with the rope and with that, you can kind of set up the tent. And you can camp for the night, and you can get ready and head out the next day for the second day of your journey. And so let me ask you, Tavern, then, what is the challenge or obstacle or difficulty that you have to overcome on the second day of this journey? Now, we've headed out from the wilds. We're in more dense woods, but the climate and the terrain can kind of change here. But what do you face?
It's really cloudy, and so we lose track of the stars that we're supposed to be following.
Oh, kind of getting lost here. Okay.
Yeah.
So that it gets overcast. It gets a little rainy. You're glad you have the thing for keeping the rain off. You're relieved by that. Vox, what is it that you do to help overcome that problem, that loss of direction?
So I think that Vox's idea is that he's going to climb a tree and see if he can't tell from a better lookout position which directions they should be going.
Okay.
And he starts to climb this tree, and as he gets up close to the top, a branch breaks, and they kind of fall back to the ground, and he kind of glides down a little bit, but unceremoniously. But in doing so, catches a good glimpse of the birds that were helping. So because the birds were following, he knows which direction we need to go.
Oh, interesting. I like that. They kind of get that as a little sign, and you use that to reorient yourself.
And Vox meant to do that all along. That was the plan.
Okay. But maybe not the most
give...
graceful plan.
Oh, no.
How does friendship gems work? Do I just give them away when something happens?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll give that a friendship gem.
Okay. So Vox, you will get a friendship gem with Ren.
Because that was creative, like figuring out bird patterns, I guess.
Yep, that was perfect. So you'll be able to use those birds as a guide and kind of find your way. It'll clear a little bit. It's that kind of clearly there's some kind of like storm. It's kind of half rolling in, half not. So it kind of changes in between days. But you'll make progress that day. So on this third day, the sort of the last day of your journey, Vox, what is the challenge that you face here?
So, as we're traveling, we see it's still overcast, and we
Okay.
see a cave, and we go to enter it, and inside is a creature that isn't very happy about us going into the cave. And this creature is a bear armadillo lion. Right? So this big hulking thing that's very territorial, has a big roar, but can roll up and looks a little bit armored.
Okay. So holy cow, you weren't expecting that as you kind of check in. You guys have never seen anything quite like this, certainly not this size. Ren, how do you lead the group or help the group to overcome and get away from this territorial beast?
We have food. We have extra food. We just give it our extra food.
Okay.
And go out.
So are you throwing it or are you placing it? How are you doing that? Is it an offering or a distraction?
It's both. So it's more like I put it down and then leave while it's eating.
Okay, and you're pretty fast, and you can very much set that kind of move from spot to spot and leave that, and it will roll, stop, munch, roll, stop, munch, and eventually you'll draw it far enough away from your path that you guys are able to take off. And it is late in the day. Just as the day is kind of daylight is ending, that you'll start to get that smell of the ocean, and you will kind of come through some dunes with that kind of scrub grass growing in the dunes, sand under your feet. That may be unusual. Do you think this is the first time you've felt sand, or have you been somewhere else by the ocean? What do you think? Tavern?
We felt sand before in around the village, but it's never felt like this because the ocean sand is a little bit different because it has that a little cooler, a little grainier. So it's a very different feel.
All right. But yes, you get that feel, kind of gets in things. It's a lot of sand. And you will come to the beach. The water is coming up. It's that sort of mix of sand and pebble there. Cold water is coming up. Goes up. There's some sort of dune woods around, and you can see off in the distance, across the water, out in there is this island out sort of in the middle of the bay. There. And that's where you need to get to.
Wait, we can't fly. How are we supposed to get there?
We swim, come on! And Vox kind of jumps into the water and starts trying to...
Do we even know how to swim?
Well, that's going to be a roll, isn't it? So, Vox, you would like to try and swim out there?
Yeah.
Okay. So Vox immediately jumps in and is going to attempt to swim out. Have you done much swimming before, Vox?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So this is not a thing you're used to. So let's have you roll courage.
Okay.
I want to see if you can drake paddle.
So that's an 8.
Okay. So you can, let's see here. You can push onwards and make it across that span, but you have to, at some point, drop your pack with the food in it. Or you can turn back and preserve the food.
I think I'm going to turn back and preserve the food.
Okay. So tell me what that looks like.
Yeah. So I think what it is that, Vox goes running out, jumps in the water and starts paddling. And it looks, we've all seen dogs paddle. It's kind of silly looking.
Okay.
And I'm paddling along and the pack is actually weighing down and kind of tips me over. And it starts to go sink right towards the bottom. And as I start to sink, I just kind of start pushing back. And you see me, dejected, like come up on the beach and kind of cough a little bit and sputter and drop the pack and.
So, yeah, it looks like swimming is probably not on the menu.
Are there trees nearby?
Are there what?
Trees.
There are trees. Yeah.
Can we make a boat?
I guess you could try and make a boat. That seems like a thing you could try and do.
All right.
What would you use to cut down a tree?
We don't have materials to cut down our trees. At least big trees that we would need to press this thing.
So maybe grab some of the smaller bits, the things that are kind of already gone over, rather than cutting something down. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, I'm talking out loud about how we can't cut down a big tree like we need to.
Well, I can commune with the spirits native to the land, so I can see if they might be willing to help us or something.
Ooh,
Do that. That sounds like a better idea.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and roll with charm?
Charm, and my charm is what, +1? Yeah. Ooh, well, yeah, that's a 5.
So
Mark experience because it's okay.
yeah, and by the way, XP on a miss. So people should know that XP.
And mine was not a miss. Mine was a difficult choice, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think you will kind of go to commune with the spirits here, and I've mentioned that it's been overcast and that the clouds and stuff have kind of come and gone, and something hears you. And you will see the clouds sort of swirl and kind of join together. You know that there are some dragons that are actually mist tenders that kind of herd clouds and move them along. And what you will see happen is that rather than kind of answering you, this cloud seems to be drawn to your voice and gathers together, and rain just starts pouring down. It just starts raining like cats and dogs and armadillo bears, and it is just pouring down rain as this storm kind of comes down there.
I guess they don't want to help us.
And you guys are going to need to kind of find some shelter, probably head back to the woods or do something. Bryn, what do you think?
Sure. I think we'll go back to the woods if that's okay.
Okay. So you can go, run back to the tree line, desperately get under there, get the tarp up. And for the next 30 minutes to an hour, it's that you have to, just deal with the sound of that rain hitting that tarp. When you're under an overhang that the rain is coming down on hard, where it's pouring down and it's kind of pouring over the edges. You have about an hour worth of that. And then it just kind of stops. And you're wet and a little cold. and dusk has come. And everything is wet. The beach is wet. The trees are wet. But as dusk comes up, you will see in the distance, following the line of the beach, you see it kind of goes up onto some rocks, and you'll actually see a light. Might be a fire or something over there on that far end, there by that sort of I don't want to say archipelago, but the section of headland that's kind of sticking out into the bay.
Wait. So there's a fire where?
So go down the beach, maybe a mile or two, as it kind of goes around. There's some headlands kind of sticking out there, kind of rises up, and you'll see maybe a little bit of firelight up there.
So on our side or the other side?
Oh, down the beach from you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll start heading in that direction, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe they have a boat.
I run ahead.
Okay. I imagine that Thistle kind of gets out and probably shakes itself off. It's got that puffy fur on it, so it looks a little wet and bedraggled, but it's kind of shaking itself clean.
Squeaks.
And you three will stomp along. With wet sand is no fun, so you kind of have to kind of stay by the tree line. And you will see there is a pile of rocks kind of, set up sort of like a dwelling, like a cave. And you can see that there's a fire in it. And you can see that there is sort of the smell of something cooking. And you can see some discarded scales around, and it looks like kind of a dragon hermit kind of stone shack with a fire sort of at the entryway to it. But you don't see a dragon around.
It's the door to this hermit shack.
No, it's like a cave. There you kind of step over, and you can see that there's the fire that's going. You can see that the firelight kind of illuminates the big sort of interior of the cave. There are some goods, some books and scrolls and things like that. And there's clearly been some weatherproofing done. But you don't see a drake around.
Should we go in or call out or what?
Vox calls out, we're looking for the owner of this place. Who's here? We are bedraggled travelers.
And kind of echoes, kind of carries, you kind of shout that out. And you'll hear a that carries a bit. And you'll see from the water down sort of below at the beach down below this, you'll see this head come up. And you will see this dragon, older, maybe a long tooth, but maybe even older than that. It's got kind of greenish metallic scales to it, and it's super narrow. Like, it's long and narrow, and it takes a while to kind of sinuously come up out of the water, and it will glide like a snake along up the cliff to where the three of you are. And it says, "Who are you three?"
Hi, I'm Nicholas Vox. I kind of jump around a little bit, and I'm like, you can call me Vox. What's your name?
My name is Fujira.
And I am Tavern, and this is Ren.
Ren. Yes, Ren.
What are you doing here, little hatchlings?
We traveled a long way. We're supposed to get some of the fruit from the island, but it's too far for us to swim. Can you swim?
Yes, I can swim.
How does one swim all the way over there?
If you'd like, I can carry you over there on my back.
That sounds great.
I want to study.
All right.
Sure, I guess, but I want to study first.
Do you want to do that? Fujira says you should have some food. I have boiled some vegetables, some other things there. We should eat.
Amazing. I rolled a 6.
I do not wish to swim at night. So the good news is you get to mark XP.
Yes.
The bad news is that you don't really get any read on Fujira. Fujira says you should do this. I should tell you, if I take you out there, that there are fruits on that island, and I would like one.
Wait, you
Can
can't
you do that?
You can't get them yourself already if you can swim over there.
I have gathered those fruits before, and the keeper of the fruit and I do not see eye to eye.
Wait, who's the keeper of the fruit? We weren't told there was a keeper of the fruit.
There is a spirit there that watches over the fruit. And how do I put this best? Allots the fruit. And it certainly believes that I've taken more than my fair share.
Okay.
Have you ever traded anything for the fruit?
No.
What does the keeper like that we might be able to give them?
I don't know. It is a spirit. I do not commune with spirits. That is not my art.
What did the spirit say was your allotment, or how many have you had?
This is a long time. These things fade into memory. So eat, and he will invite you to serve out food into these wooden bowls. Again, even here, this cave is certainly for a different scale than you are. So you kind of have to stand by the table that he has, or that they have, but we'll feed you, and we'll say, you must all be wet and tired, right?
Very.
Very.
You may share my cave tonight. Rest, dry off by the fire, and in the morning, you may ride my back out across to the island.
You are so generous. We are so lucky to have met you.
You are very, very lucky to have met me.
Is there anything dangerous out in the water there that you've seen?
Not to those such as us, I do not think. I know out in the deeper waters there are bigger things. It is like the wilderness out there. But you will be fine. You have nothing to worry about if you ride across on my back.
While my companions are talking to Fujira, I am going to look for beehives in the cave.
The cave is a kind of a handmade thing, so you can easily walk inside. I think it sounds to me like you're trying to survey an area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's fail some more.
Yeah, let's have you roll cunning.
Yes. That is snake eyes. I got a 1.
You don't see any beehive there. But you do. How do I put this? You do realize that the food that you have, you've kind of laid it out, you've eaten from this, that it has gotten spoiled by all the water, both the water in the bay and the wetness, and you guys don't have any food for the return journey now, and you're a little shocked by that.
Oh.
It's okay. I can probably find something in the forest for us.
Oh, yes, Fujir says, yes, I can help you hunt. We can go hunting if you want in the morning.
Are you a good hunter?
Oh, I'm a very good hunter.
That sounds really suspicious.
But you certainly want to go to the island first, right?
Yes, of course. We need to finish our what we came here to do.
Absolutely. Then here is what we will do in the morning. We will sleep tonight like the sleep of babies. And tomorrow morning, you will ride across the island on my back. You will get the fruits. I will bring you back safe and sound. And then we will hunt to gather food so you can travel back unhampered.
You are extremely friendly.
I am.
How do you normally hunt?
Well, what I do is I go out into the woods and I lay there very, very still. And then I wait. And eventually something comes to me.
Very interesting. Can I
know
study the dragon?
Sure. I know that if I wait long enough, food will come to me.
That's what I'm afraid of. That's a 5. So yeah.
We are going to fall prey to this cannibalist, possible child cannibalist. I'm not sure. like I said in chat, I'm not sure whether to extract this entire campaign or not.
So you will mark an XP.
That sounds like a wonderful plan. Let's go to sleep.
Yeah. And he says, you must be careful while you are out there not to eat the fruit. It will seem tempting to you. But you do not wish to do that.
Wait, why does everyone else want to eat the fruit then?
Because the fruit takes time to ripen. If you eat it, it will look succulent and delicious when you pick it, but you must resist that urge. It is bitter, unpleasant, and even poisonous when it is first plucked from the tree.
Okay.
And how many pieces of fruit did Imperious Onyx need?
Just one.
Oh, just one.
So we need 3. 1 for Fujira, 1 for Ugris, and 1 for Onyx.
That's fortunate because there's 3 of us.
And you will go to sleep comfortably with no suspicions here in the cave.
I would actually like to do something before we go to sleep, or
okay, that seems fair.
So I think Vox is too excited about getting across to the island to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he can't sleep, so he wanders out down to the seashore, and he asks Thistle to go across to ask the keeper of the fruit what they would like in trade. So Thistle is a beast companion that is can be a messenger. So
Okay.
it can carry messages far and wide and can fly and all of that. So
Okay. So yeah, so this seems like a fiction to do something here. Why don't you roll with cunning?
sure.
I think I'm going to do this kind of a survey from this.
That is an 8.
That is an 8. So I think based on what Thistle can bring back to you, you can ask a question from that survey and area thing. Does that seem like a fair way to handle that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think what this would be were so I sent Thistle with the question, what does the keeper of the fruit desire in trade for the fruit?
All right. And what do you think the answer that you get answer to be to what question here is that how do I gain access to this place's secret, or what do you think that is?
Yeah, I think that's right. How do I gain access to this place's secrets?
Thistle returns with the sense that it says that the thing there, the spirit that is protecting it, doesn't want to trade. It doesn't want anybody to take it because something is wrong with the fruit.
Okay. What I'd really like to do is send Thistle back and say, what can we do to help? But we'll figure out once we get there.
Okay. So in the morning, Fujira slithers out of the cave and prepares breakfast for you, and he will serve that up to you, and he will say, "We're now after you've eaten, we'll have to wait to go because you shouldn't go swimming an hour after you've eaten. Not that you'll have to swim, but better safe than sorry."
And Vox can't stand waiting. And he paces back and forth next to the beach.
And Fujira will go down to the beach in the morning after you've eaten, about an hour after that, and he will slide down into the water. You guys, have you ever seen like water moccasins, things like that go, in the water, snakes that kind of have that surface thing? It will kind of do that, and he will say, "Each of you should climb on and grab very tightly."
And Vox is the first one on. He gets up close to the head.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Tavern will go on, and he wraps his tail around him.
Okay. And he will sail out towards the island there. I'm actually going to stop here. We're stopping a little early, but I think this is a great place for us to stop because we're at the kind of the next stage of this thing. We'll bring in Agatha next time, and we'll be able to go and deal with this, and we'll hard frame her in. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah.
I appreciate doing that. I have a little bit of a headache too, so I will admit that I'm kind of cutting from that as well. We do have end of session moves.
Lowell,
Yes.
just out of curiosity, for next session, the vision would have to be the night that I was sleeping.
Oh
in
yeah,
Fujira's
remind me of
place.
that. Remind me of
Alright,
that,
cool.
and we'll do that.
All right, just making sure.
Okay. So let me ask each of you this question. And for each yes on these questions,
All right.
you get to mark an XP.
Cool.
So let me start with you, Maria. Maria, did you learn a lesson from a friend?
Not well. I learned that I can find where we're going with bird patterns.
Okay, yeah, I'll give
Yeah.
you that. That seems good.
Right.
Then what about you, Tavern? Did you learn a lesson from a friend?
I do. Aside from that same thing, I don't really think so.
I'll give you that, though. That seems reasonable. What about you, Vox? Did you learn something from your companions?
I did. I learned that if you have extra food to spare, it can get you out of danger.
Okay, smart. And then, Maria, did you help a friend solve a problem?
Other than food?
Yep, there you go. You solved that problem. Yeah.
Yay, I level up.
Tavern, did you help a friend solve a problem?
I helped find the rope.
There you go. And Vox, did you?
Yes, I found which direction to go whenever we were lost.
Perfect. As a clutch, answer these two questions. Did your clutch hold back or expel the darkness? I'm going to say no. Did your clutch move a dragon older than yourself to action?
Fujira.
Yeah, getting Fujira moving.
So everyone marks one?
Everyone marks one.
Yay. That may or may not be a good thing because we don't know Fujira's intentions.
And if you got 5 XP, you get to take another move from your playbook, add 1 to a stat, or advance your signature move.
I want to get visions, I guess, better visions, but I also want to raise my shitty cunning. So I'm going to raise my shitty cunning.
That's a fair one. The -1s are always a pain.
Yeah.
I will admit.
Yes. Especially for a character that's supposed to be a trickster, having a -1 cunning is pretty bad.
Interesting choice. Well, thank you guys very much. We'll play in 2 weeks. And then we'll have a third session after that. We'll take up with the journey out. We'll get Agatha in. Does that seem cool with everybody?
Yep.
Sure.
That's great.
Well, then I'm going to stop the broadcast.